What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we've got something truly special for you. Today we're going to be reviewing probably the most innovative product from the firearms industry in quite a while. I would argue this is the most innovative firearm that's came out in the last 30 to 40 years. It uses some similar systems, but for the most part it's a complete departure from regular firearms. So let's introduce the Laugo Arms Alien. I'm lucky enough to have this Alien because of you guys, the Patreon supporters. I went out and purchased my gun to keep this review totally non-biased, and I appreciate the freedom that you guys allow me. If you guys want to help out the channel, all you gotta do is go to the link in the description and sign up for the Patreon squad. With that, you get some exclusive content and all the fun stuff. We get a pretty good time over there. So if you're interested, just sign up. If you're not interested in Patreon, I would really appreciate it if you would go down to the link in the description for the local homeless shelter. I would appreciate if you go down there and click the link and donate a couple bucks to those kids. They could use your help now more than ever. So with that said, let's take a look at this beauty right here. Now this is the Laugo Arms Alien, the mythical beast, the unicorn, the minotaur. I'm not really sure, but the Laugo Arms Alien is such a unique pistol. It had me so hyped up about it. I've literally been doing videos of it for years, even previous to actually holding one. And unlike a lot of other guns throughout time, that semi-automatic A12, or maybe the Desert Tech MDR, or maybe that weird bullpup shotgun from Cry, this mythical beast actually came out. Now I got to shoot this at the 2020 SHOT Show, and I was really impressed, but the problem with SHOT Show is that you have so much stimulus going on, it's really hard to figure out what actually is happening. You have so many people shooting around you, so many people talking to you, shooting so many different guns, sometimes it can all get lost in translation. So actually having this gun at my personal range, getting a solid something like 1,200 rounds through it already, and just putting it through its paces in different drills really was priceless information to me to give you a complete review. Now there's not a lot of reviews on this, there's a few videos on YouTube, so hopefully we're bringing you some information that maybe you have not heard before. The Laugo Arms Alien is expensive, but we'll get to that. This is normally I would say single action, double action, but the Laugo Arms Alien uses a gas system instead of a standard Browning tilting barrel design to allow you to do a whole bunch of different unique things. First off, with the Alien, the bore axis is extremely low. As you can see, that's the barrel. That's not a design flaw. That barrel is actually lower or on par with your wrist, as you see back there, making it easily the lowest bore axis of any pistol ever designed, making it very cool. They do that by using the HK P7 gas system, so it's actually a gas gun in comparison to something like a blowback gun or something like that. So you do have some interesting quirks with that, which we'll get to in a minute. But that does allow you to have an extremely low bore axis. It also allows you to have a whole bunch of other cool stuff as well. First off, the slide doesn't reciprocate completely. As you see there, the side of the slide reciprocates. And you can take a look at that right there. And that also, along with the bore axis, reduces overall recoil and muzzle flip quite a bit because you have a lot less reciprocating mass going back. And then you have reciprocating, or you have standard mass staying forward. A lot of people talk about the reciprocating mass going to the rear, but another benefit of it is you have a big old chunk of metal here forward of the gun, keeping that muzzle down. Along with that slide, we have the top cover here, with some magic here I can pop off. There we go, and you can see here that this is the optics rail on top here, and it does actually come with an iron sight rail as well. So pretty cool overall design. And if you want to swap them out, they do retain zero. We actually did test that, so you can pop this off, put your iron sight gun back on, run it for iron sights a little bit, pop that back off, and put this guy back on, and your optic will retain zero, which is pretty cool if you are not a dumbass. There we go. And as you can see there, it goes on relatively easily. Now, you have the ability to take off or remove optics really easy. You have a very low reciprocating mass. You have a very low overall bore axis. You have a super high cut grip on here with tons of awesome checkering. These 25 line print checkering on the front strap and on the rear strap. Plus you have what feels like G10 inlays for the grip, so you can probably change out the grips, although I haven't heard of anything as far as that goes yet. You have a included mag wheel that comes on the gun that you can take off or put on depending on whatever you're planning on doing with the gun. You have a awesome extended magazine release that works very well in my personal opinion. Extended enough so you can easily hit it one-handed, but you'll never hit it accidentally. Perfectly done. We have a pretty cool two-tone grip here with a kind of reminiscent of the Sphinx from Chris. You can see that kind of slammed together upper and lower receiver system. So we have a steel slide up front, we have a steel frame there, and then we have, I believe, an aluminum grip. Very cool, been done a few times, and it does have some of the CZ75 ergonomics. Now, a lot of people said that they were compatible with CZ mags. They're definitely not. As you can see here, the mags are their own beast entirely, which we'll get to in a minute. It also has more of a forward bore axis like a Glock. If you're used to running a Glock, you'll fit right in with this guy. It's kind of weird. It's like if CZ and Glock and a whole bunch of other guns like the HKP7 all got into a big orgy and had a baby, this is what would come out of it. Well, maybe. Or some horrible amalgamation of something else. But if all the best things of those guns came in and had an orgy, this is what you would get. We have a Picatinny rail down low here. We've got some milled spots on the frame there that look really nice, but in action, I was actually using them a little bit as a gas pedal there, although I would prefer some super awesome checkering, like 25 or 30 lines per inch, and maybe the version 2, but either way, it's still really awesome. Now let's get into the trigger here, which is another super unique portion of the gun here. So you can see the trigger is really, really light and really, really short, and the reset is really short as well, because this gun is built for speed. Ammunition goes quick. I don't think Glock 19, don't think like M&P Pro, like something that you could do for home defense, concealed carry, but flex in a competition. Think specifically built to just go super fast. This is a Formula 1 car. This is like an F-18 Raptor. I mean, this thing has its drawbacks, but in as far as speed and accuracy category, it's absolutely insane, and everything about this gun is driven toward that goal, trigger included. Now, the trigger's built for speed, and that does have some learning curve to it, because the hammer inside the gun actually sits upside down, and instead of hitting like this, it hits like this. So that gives you a little bit of a different trigger pull, along with the fact that it has that super clean, crisp break. Some of the pure accuracy shots that you're gonna have will sometimes drip a little low or drip a little low left. As Larry Vickers said in his video, and I completely agree, the gun is a little bit unforgiving of poor trigger control. So if you're looking for a gun to fix some of your shitty trigger control issues, this gun is not it. However, those guns do exist. We'll get into that later. But the Alien packs all of these new and unique features inside this one nice little package, delivering some extreme performance. All right, now we'll just go to distance, and we're gonna shoot a couple of distance, kind of do the walk back drill. I wanna do some accuracy with the gun. All right, so not too hard to hit. And I'm obviously not taking a big sight picture on this, so like I said, it's an extremely accurate gun, but it does have a learning curve to it. And two cons with the gas system, in my opinion. One, it gets hot. Two, it's loud. It's louder than most 9mm that I've shot. And I know that sounds strange, and I'm not sure if that's a real thing or just a perceived thing, but it's loud to me. Now we're back here at 75. Obviously, we're still good. We'll move back further. What kind of playset's kind of in the way? I'm making a playset for my niece. So 80 is about the best we're going to be able to do. See if we can hit one of those paint cans at 80. No. No. I got it. I got one of them. I blew the cap off. So 80 yards at a paint can ain't too bad. Oh man, I don't know if we can hit one of those plates on a Texas Star. Well, I mean, if that is an example of how accurate the gun is, I don't really know how else to show it. Now, we put 1,000 rounds through this gun, at least. I think we have almost 1,200 through it now. We did not use any hollow points, sorry about that, my bad, but we did use 115, 147 grain, and the 147 grain remanufactured subsonic stuff did actually have one issue. I can't get this to run the slide to the rear.
Does it not like this ammo? Is it?
Same ammo we've been shooting.
Okay.
This slide is so difficult to run. That being said, we had no other malfunctions with this gun throughout the entire testing of the gun, which is actually really impressive considering it is a gas gun, and as you can see there, it is real damn dirty. And the reason for that is because we only sort of cleaned it out a little bit, not very good, once, and we just poured lube on it the whole time just to see if it would run, and it did in fact run. Now, some of the other videos I've seen with the gun, you can see absolutely how dirty it is in there. So that's going to be one of the downsides right away to a gas system. You guys are familiar with the AR-15 or anything like that, is you're going to get a lot of gas blowback, a little bit more debris, and this gun is going to gunk up a lot sooner than something like a Glock or an M&P. That being said, Formula One car, you got to change the tires sometimes, you got to add new oil, you got to do all that good stuff. You're looking for a gun you can bury in the ground and get out 3 months later. I mean, get yourself a Makarov, something like that. This is not going to be that gun. So the gas system does get a little bit dirty, and the gas system gives you something else that's kind of interesting. If you use regular ammunition, non-reduced recoil ammunition, non-subsonic or not supersonic ammunition, I don't see anybody that's ever had a problem with the Alien. So reliability completely covered. Accuracy also really, really good due to the unbelievable sight, unbelievable sights, unbelievable trigger. This gun is as accurate as any gun I've ever fired, as long as you have good trigger control. Now, if you're going to fudge the trigger a little bit here and there, maybe get yourself into something like this, because believe me, they are comparable in price. Now, we'll get into Recoil Pulse because that's what everybody wants to know anywhere. At least that's what I wanted to know. Did all of these fixes, all of this unique, awesome whiz-bang science that went into this gun, did it actually work? And the answer is yes, it did. Sort of. Nothing's for free. There's no free lunch. Every time I hear people talk about the best gun, the perfect gun, what is it? What's a gun with a bore axis up into your web of your hand there that is equal with your wrist, so you just get the recoil straight to the rear, right? But then you have those same guys shoot the Alien, and their hand hurts. And the reality is, your hand hurts because instead of force being dissipated up, now you are taking it all. You're taking it all right here, just like Riley Reid or something. But anyway, so when the gun fires, there's a lot less muzzle flip and a lot more of a pop in your hand and in your wrist than you're normally accustomed to, because you're taking the entire recoil impulse of the gun into your wrist and back out. Now, with good function, good form, and good control, that will increase your follow-up shots dramatically. Now, you're going to feel a little bit more recoil impulse, but it's not going to matter because your sights aren't going to move at all, and that's the real cool thing about the Alien. A little bit more pop to the rear, however, it's not going to change how fast you're going to be able to shoot. You're just going to feel it a little bit more because there will be almost no muzzle flip at all. The entire time I was shooting this gun, the dot never left the window. I'm serious. It never left the window, no matter what type of ammo we were shooting. We were shooting hot 124 grain, didn't matter. And that was the cool part about the Alien too. The hotter ammo I shot, it seemed like the better it actually liked it. So I like to shoot 115, 124 grain through this, and then the 147 grain I wasn't a big fan of, which is something I usually use in like a Glock or something for competition, let's say. The recoil impulse was so nice that the split times were absolutely insane. I mean, you just pile rounds off this gun. It felt like the magazines just had too little ammunition, to be honest with you. And that's what we'll get into the magazines here. So you can see the magazines look a little bit short by comparison to a 17-round magazine that you're normally accustomed to seeing. And that's because the chamber is actually really, really deep inside the gun there. And as you can see all the way in there, to the bowels of Mordor, is that chamber. And now that gives you a couple of awesome things, that gives you a couple of bad things. First thing that it gives you that's awesome is it gives you superior reliability theoretically, because the round lines up with the chamber, so you don't have to go all the way up and in like an old school 1911 or something like that. You're pretty much right there like an Arsenal Strike 1 or something like that. Now, the downside you're going to have to that is going to be that it's a lot harder to check the chamber for brass, because it's hard to see the goddamn thing. So on top of that, it's a little bit harder to clean as well if you're trying to do some quick cleaning. But the main thing that I can see is that you might have an issue in some divisions with fitting inside the box, because because since the magazine has to be lower because the chamber is lower, if you're going to have the same capacity as another gun, you might run out of room there. So that's another thing to be aware of with the Alien. Like I said, it fixes a lot of things, but it does have some quirks. Now, I've heard a lot of people say the stationary top rail allows you to acquire the sights quicker. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that between that and the lower recoil and pulse, like I said, you never lose your sights, which is really, really nice. So whichever one of those is actually doing that, that's nice. Now, the downside to the top rail design, although it does have a lot of ingenuity and it does work really well for its intended purpose, it's harder to lock the slide to the rear, it's harder to operate the gun, and it's harder to overall just use the gun and use the controls. Jesus, that's hard to get used to. It's just a hard gun to get used to. And what I mean by that is, let's say your slide is locked to the rear, all right? I get the magazine, I put the magazine in, I come over the top, and I bump it, and I chamber the round, if the magazine was full, of course. But that kind of works, but what doesn't work a lot of times is if you're loading a mag from an empty chamber right here and you have to lock the slide to the rear and you come over here like this, bam, you run right in your optic, you don't chamber the round, and you don't know what the fuck is going on because the slide or the optic actually doesn't go to the rear with the slide. So when you grab the slide like this, boom, you run into it, you can't operate it like that. And you're like, okay, well, I'll change my operating mechanism. And then I go boom like this and I can't get anything done either. And then I go all over here and I'm trying to grab this little bitty slide instead of grabbing the optic, right? And it sounds good in theory, but the reality is, if you're a big gorilla like me and you're in a hurry, you're running a match or something like that, it's actually pretty difficult to grab the little bit of slide back here and end up going like that. So it's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more of a fine motor skill to actually operate the gun than it is normally because of that top rail. Now, a lot of times I ended up finding myself going like this, which kind of works, but then I'm still running into the trigger guard, right? And on top of that, there's danger afoot with that as well. So you're just gonna have to get used to the quirks as far as the slide goes, but the slide is extremely serrated there, and one of the most beautiful serrations I've ever seen, and one of the most functional as well. Quality, fit and finish, coating, accuracy, speed, all that you can expect top marks with this gun. The controls work really well. Aside from the slide, the magazine release, slide release work extremely well. So that's just a little bit of quirk with the slide, and you're just going to have to get used to it. And by far, that was the hardest thing for me to get used to. Now, I made a bigger deal about that little bit of punch that you get about the recoil, but believe me, it's not going to slow you down at all either. Now that we've covered the accuracy, speed, ergonomics, recoil and pulse, all the good stuff about the Alien, let's go into the two really bad things about the Alien. So the first really bad thing about the Alien is going to be availability. If you want one of these, I don't know, pray, check Lancer's website every 8 minutes. I mean, I am lucky enough to where I have a large enough fan base where people were telling me when it was in stock, and that's actually how I got mine. A couple of dudes were sending me Instagram messages on Instagram whenever they got in stock, so I appreciate that. So availability is going to be an issue, parts are going to be an issue, accessories are going to be an issue. So magazines, this gun comes with 3 3 17-round magazines. I purchased a 4th one for an extra $100 by the way. So magazines are extremely expensive, as well as magwells and holsters. So I actually went with the kit as opposed to the standard gun, and it did come with a holster and a couple of other accessories along with both top rails. If you buy the standard gun, you only get either the optics mount or you get the iron sights. I think you might just get the iron sights. But if you pay an extra $1,000, you can get a holster and the rail and the kit. And that's the thing, right? Before we get in the holster, the issue with the Laugo Arms Alien is they know they have cornered the market. And what I mean by that is they know that they have the only gun that will do what this gun does. So instead of being even remotely reasonably priced, it's ridiculous. It's $4,000 for the base gun, $5,000 for the kit. So if you want the standard gun, it's just $4 grand right off the top. If you want the red dot with the rail and then you want the holster, it's $5 grand. $1,000 for a rail and a holster. So it is what it is. If you want this gun, you got to pay the costs. Capitalism's a bitch. Now, the holster in itself is kind of good, but mostly bad. I like the way that it sits in the gun. It's a little bit harder to draw for me than maybe a Blade Tech or something like that, but I really do like this adjustable system here. Don't worry about my tape. That's just how I know where I put my holster when I take holsters on and off. But this system here is absolute trash. This is extremely uncomfortable, and maybe I actually did this wrong. I'm not really sure. That being said, I'm going to get rid of this. I figured I'd give it a shot, but I'm going to get rid of that immediately. Mag pouches for the Alien, my 2011 adjustable magazine pouches that I run on my limited rig work just fine. However, I didn't really look for any other pouches, so you're just gonna have to deal with that information because that's all I have. So availability, price, and definitely a switch in ergonomics by comparison to other guns are going to be the drawbacks that you're going to have with the Alien, and the pros are going to be that it's going to be super fast, super sexy, and super accurate. So whether it's worth $4,000 or $5,000 to you is totally up to you, and totally up to your budget, and totally up to whatever you do with it. It doesn't change the fact that it's extremely innovative, and it uses all of the best systems from the past guns of the past couple decades at least, and puts it in this awesome, nice little package. It's only 37 ounces and has a 4.6-inch barrel, which in my opinion are almost the perfect specs for a competition gun. You're talking about a gun that weighs 39 ounces, that has less recoil than this. That is an Atlas Artemis right there, and that has the lowest recoil of any gun besides this that I've shot, and this is running around 45 ounces, and this is a Sight Block 2011, and this comes out of the box at $6,000. So kind of looks like a deal compared to this. It's just all about comparison, all about perspective in life, I suppose. That being said, it's kind of an interesting comparison I'll probably do a video on later, just simply because, man, I mean, if you're talking about pinnacles of speed and accuracy, I don't think I've shot any gun that compared to either of these two, so I don't know. At some point, I need to find an excuse to, like, dual wield them or something. So if you want this versus video, or you want it versus the Shadow 2, or maybe like the Phoenix Redback or something like that, let me know in the comment section below. If you hate this gun, if you like this gun, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.